Well, 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 good morning. I have been trying to get back on for a year, at least all this year. Um, hmm, I didn't think it was going to open up. I have been trying to go live, and it always told me something other than you're live. But this morning I was reading Matthew chapter 2 about the wise men's visit and about Herod talking to them about Jesus is coming and how they are to come back and tell him where they are, where Jesus is. Follow this star, come back and tell him so he can go and visit him. But he knew that he was not interested in visiting and worshiping Jesus. He wanted to know where he was so he could kill him. Um, and so it made me think about dreams because the word says that God warned the wise men in a dream not to go back, not to go back the way they came, not to go back and tell Herod where the star led them, but to go home another way. And so that made me think about dreams. Does God only speak to us in dreams, or why does He speak to us in dreams? Um, Another question I had was, uh, let me see what else I had. I had, um, is it, is the reason why he speaks to man during a time of dream because um, maybe they won't believe enough to act if they had somebody to go and question about what they just heard or saw or felt or whatever. I also explored the question of, is it because during the time of sleep we are closest to him, or is it to see if when we're asleep can God gain our full attention? I don't have an answer for why he speaks to man in dreams. That's a God question only God can answer. But it just made me think, a lot of times during these days and times, we spend so much time what we call multitasking, doing more than one thing at a time, that it would probably be close to impossible to get our full attention most of the time because we're doing something while we're listening to something else. We're doing something while we're trying to watch TV or at work while we are on social media on our cell phones. And so sleep might be the only time where God can get our full, undivided attention. But why he speaks to us then, I don't know. He'd have to tell us. I mean, I can speculate, I can think, I can assume, I can suppose, but only he can answer a definite. It made me think about some dreams that I've had, and I'm sure you've had dreams too, where God has spoken to you, and when you wake up, that was God speaking to you. But I love the fact that he didn't just speak to these angels in a dream. I mean, these wise men in a dream. In Matthew 2, it says, after they had heard the king, they started out. The star they had seen rising led them until it stopped over the place where the child was. There, they were overwhelmed with joy to see the star. And when I read that, I was like, why are they overwhelmed with joy when they've been following this star all the way from wherever they were initially to where Jesus was? But I liked it anyway. And so it goes on to say, when they entered the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary. So they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasure chest and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. I love the fact that before they even gave him what they had for him, that they stopped, they bowed, and they worshiped him. But after they did that, it says God warned them in a dream not to go back to Herod. So they left for their own country another way. So they didn't have this dream, or God didn't speak to them in this dream until they had worshiped Christ. I love that because it shows me that their focus was in the right place. Their focus was on acknowledging who Jesus was, and praising and worshiping him for who he would be for them and for us, and for who he was before he came here for us. And so I love that part. So they didn't get this dream until after they had that experience with God, which tells me that when God speaks to us in a dream, there has to be some type of relationship with him. And in this instance, it was with him through the acknowledgement of who Christ was, even as a baby, even as in his beginning, in his human era. But if you go down to verse 13, the dreams are not over yet. It says that after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. The angel said to him, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt." They stayed there until, it says, and stay there until I tell you, because Herod intends to search for the child and kill him. Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and left for Egypt that night. I love the fact that Joseph didn't question. God had his full attention in that dream, and he did not hesitate. He didn't say, "I'll do it later." I'm not sure if that was real. Let me wait and see if Herod starts to act like he's going to start looking for somebody and killing somebody, and then we'll hurry up and leave. When he had the dream, when he heard from God, he made a move on what he heard in that dream. It says that Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and left for Egypt that night. He didn't even wait for morning. God spoke to him in a dream. He was like, "Hey, y'all, get up. God just spoke to me. He told us we need to get out of here. And so let's get to getting." It says he stayed there until Herod died. That there is in Egypt. And it says, what the Lord had spoken through the prophets came true. I even love this part. I know this is not the part of the dreaming, but this I love too, because several places in Matthew 2, it alludes back to something that was spoken of, prophesied about years before. So God is an orchestrator of our lives, of events that are going to happen, because he knows what's going to take place even before it starts. I tell you, the enemy is so busy. My computer was plugged up all night. Now it's saying I have a 7% battery left. He just doesn't want us to know the truth. That's all it is. He gets mad when we start doing the things that God has already put in our hearts to do, be it while we're woke or in a dream. It says that what the Lord has spoken through the prophet came true. And this is what was said by the prophets: "I have called my son out of Egypt." So God had to tell Joseph to take him there before he could call him out of there. Sometimes in our lives, when it seems like we're taking a detour or circumstances are causing a roadblock and we have to pivot. Some of those pivots are divinely designed to put us in the right place at the right time. Sometimes we don't see it. Maybe we didn't listen to that dream. Maybe we slept through it when God was trying to talk to us. But that will not keep him from um, orchestrating circumstances, situations to put us in the right place that he wants us to be in. It says, when Herod saw that the wise men had tricked him, now they didn't trick him. He was the one trying to be a trickster, talking about go and follow him, search him out, and then come back and tell me because I want to go worship him. So who's trying to trick whom? So then Herod saw that the wise men had tricked him. He became furious. He sent soldiers to kill all the boys 2 years old and younger in or near Bethlehem. This matched the exact time he had learned from the wise men. Then the words spoken through the prophet Jeremiah came true. Something Jeremiah had said years before Christ was even a twinkle in his mom's eye. And this is what Jeremiah said. He said, a sound was heard in Ramah, the sound of crying and bitter grief. Rachel was crying for her children. She refused to be comforted because they were dead. And it says, after Herod was dead, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt. The angel said to him, get up, take the child and his mother, and go to Israel. Those who tried to kill the child are dead. And it says, Joseph got up, took the child and his mother, and went to Israel. I love it. I love it. There's more. You can go read it for yourself. Matthew 2. And so you can read all that for yourself. But I just love the fact that God will get our undivided attention when he needs to tell us something. It's up to us when he gets our attention, be it in a dream or while we're awake. It's up to us to do what he tells us to do. And if things don't work out when we don't do what he tells us to do, we don't move when he tells us to move, whose fault is it but our own? Thank you for joining me this morning. I didn't want to hold you long, but I just wanted to share that with you about dreams. God will get our attention, and sometimes it's during a dream. So let me know. You can go, I think there's a place for you to share info with me, a little chat box or something. Let me know if God has ever spoken to you in a dream. And if he has spoken to you in a dream, let me know. And if you don't mind sharing, what did he tell you to do in that dream? And did you follow and obey? And if you did, what was the outcome? Thank you for joining me this morning for Walk Before You Run. Always walk through God's word before you run out and try to live your life, because you really can't live it successfully if you have not read his word and walk with him in his word. And spend a little time in that word. Meditate on it. Journal like I do on it. And see what God has for you. I guarantee if you spend some time with him, you'll get some of those things like those wise men were bringing. You'll get some gifts, some riches. May not be silver and gold, but some of the uh, gifts that God gives that are not material are the absolute best. I'll see you next time. And remember, we are all blessed so we can be a blessing to someone else. Bye.